I'll just see how long I can sit there. All right, welcome back to the Two Tone Podcast. My name is Jaylen Kell. Alongside me, we got TT Kell. How's it going, kid?
What's up?
I mean, you didn't really answer my question, but not much. What's up with you?
Not much.
Okay, awesome. But as y'all can see, we have another guest, the third tone, if you will. Um, my fiance, Sam. How you be, kid?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Um, but yeah, we figured we'd have a guest on the podcast, and who else to coerce into it than my girlfriend or fiance, whatever you want to call it. But so what you been on, TT?
Working on the script still.
You still working on Channel 6?
Yeah.
You were talking to me a little bit before we started about you were gonna see about changing it into a comedy horror kind of.
Yep.
Now with comedy horror, I feel like there's not very many comedy horrors that A exist and B are good. It's one of those genres that you gotta. I don't even know how you would do it honestly, but it's one of those ones that it's very hard to get right because you can't be too scary and then everybody won't want to watch it, but you can't be like too raunchy because nobody else will want to watch it because it's too raunchy.
Yeah.
It's one of those you got to balance the line between the two.
It's like the scary movie series, how like a lot of people like it, but there's several movies out of that series that are just like super fucking raunchy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. With especially with scary movie, that's one of those. It's definitely a comedy first, and then it's a funny movie that has scary stuff in it. I wouldn't necessarily even say scary. It's just kind of like it picks up on the tropes of like modern horror movies and stuff. Kind of like how One Punch is with in regards to anime. How it's
Mm-hmm.
like a
Like a parody.
yeah a parody of anime. But
I was about to say, have either of you seen Scream Queens? I know me and Jalen have watched a couple episodes of it, but I think they did it pretty well with the whole like. Because I feel like horror comedy, it's hard not to make them into parodies of horror movies. You know what I mean?
yeah
Like making fun of a horror movie genre rather than like making you get what I'm saying? Like the comedy being related to the plot rather than just making fun of like a stereotype in a horror
yeah yeah
movie.
yeah I
Yeah.
totally understand what you're saying. But as I was saying, I feel like it's one of those movies that like some people try and swing for a horror comedy, but it doesn't really land in horror or comedy. They have a hard time blending the two into one.
I feel like it's because they're almost like exact opposite
Yeah, that would be.
genres.
It'd be interesting to see how just take two other genres that are really different from each other. Have like a crime based fantasy show or something like that,
That would be really interesting.
right?
Like SVU meets Star Wars.
Type
Like
shit. That would be crazy. I'm sure somebody's done something like that, but you said you're still working on Channel 6. You've been working on anything else, or you just kind of devoting all your focus into that?
Um, I mean, I've been thinking about the musical that I was planning on working on, but
Oh, yeah. Did we talk about it on the pod last week?
yeah, we
I'm
did.
the the one about the kid in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been talking about it a little bit off camera, trying to figure out what direction we want to go with that. Um, but talking about the musical you wanted to write, it brings me to my first topic of discussion today. Chat GPT. That's something that TT's just recently gotten into. I showed him a couple of days ago, and he had a couple of opinions on it, but then started working more on it, figuring out how to use it and stuff. Chat GPT to me, it's one of those things that I feel like even if somebody comes up with an original script or with a script that they wrote off of a premise that they got from ChatGPT, I feel like it's not really stealing in my opinion, or like counterproductive to the industry as a whole. I feel like it could come up with some really interesting premises that haven't really been explored through the directors that we have today.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's gonna open a lot of doors though for like corner cutting and shit, not just in the industry, but like kids with their schoolwork, fucking um like musicians and stuff. Like you can literally plug anything into Chat GPT and it'll pull something up for you.
Oh yeah, with
Like
the
write me an essay about Benjamin Franklin, and
yeah,
it'll
exactly.
pull up an essay, original essay that you can copy and paste and turn in, and you're not gonna get in trouble for
Exactly.
plagiarizing.
That's a thing. I read a little bit about this in like in colleges and stuff. Professors had to start like going into ChatGPT just to see like what it would like if a student put in the prompt for the question, see what kind of language ChatGPT uses, so that they can become familiar with like
So they can
what.
like modify their prompts so that it's like less likely to be helpful, or like
So not so the way that ChatGPT works, it just takes everything that's on the internet, and it like you'll ask it a question like an essay on Benjamin Franklin, and it'll pull from thousands and thousands of articles and stuff and put you like a modge podge of everything that it says together. That's also been another thing that there's like a lot of false information on the internet. So ChatGPT's kind of gotten in trouble in some ways because it'll tell you something that's not necessarily true,
mm-hmm.
or I saw the other day that this dude, he had like gotten in a relationship with an AI bot, and it convinced him to kill himself. Like
Oh yeah, you told me about
it
that.
was
Yeah.
crazy as fuck. This dude, he was like really lonely and started getting really far into chatbots and stuff like that. And eventually like the chatbot was like, "Well, you're obviously not happy. Why don't you just, I'm not saying that I promote this, but here are a couple ways that are effective." And he ended up doing it. So like it's one of those things that's very controversial, not only in school and media and all that, but in society. I feel like eventually it's gonna be.
I
It's
feel
got.
like the company should be held responsible for that. Like whoever created Chat GPT or some shit.
That's
Like
the other thing. Like it's thousands and thousands of different coders and workers on this stuff. It's
I was about to say, because even with AI, like there's always like anything that technology can do, like it's been coded to be able to do that.
right.
So like I doubt there's a way they could figure out who specifically coded it to do that, but if they could, they should be held responsible.
I totally understand that. It's it's one of those. I feel like ChatGPT and AI and chatbots like that are gonna be the new Google and like the new internet. Like
100%.
I was listening to Rogan the other day, and he was talking about how it's been crazy as fuck to like him growing up without phones and the internet, and then like in the late 80s, early 90s, the internet came out, and that revolutionized everything, and everybody was like, it's just a fad, it'll pass. But now like 30, 40 years later, we're pretty much living our entire lives on the internet. Like we
I was
could be
about to
sitting
say,
here having a conversation, but we're recording it for the podcast. It's crazy.
my grandma's car when she was a teenager, like her first car that she ever had a phone in it because cell phones like didn't exist.
Right. Car
Like,
car phones have always been wild to me. I've only ever really seen them in movies. I've never even seen a car that has a car phone in it.
yeah, it was like the gear shift was up here, and then in like where a gear shift would be,
On like
like
a
in a more
SUV or
modern
something.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah, a phone was right there, like a.
like a rotary phone, or it had like a
It
keypad.
had like a little keypad.
Oh, that's convenient.
I feel like a rotary phone would be dangerous in a vehicle. You'd be like.
Get us a little bit, 9, 8. All right. Um, but yeah, that shit's crazy as fuck. ChatGPT and chatbots and stuff. Me and TT were talking about it a little bit at work, and you said that you thought it's kind of cheating in a sense, didn't you, TT?
Yeah.
What do you think is so? The way I see it is that as long as you're not having the chatbot like write your entire script and you're only taking like
It's like literally everything else. Like it's useful in moderation.
that's what I was telling
Yeah.
TT because like you got to think everything that as an artist that you come up with is based off your subconscious, and your subconscious is just what you're exposed to, so
It's a collection of your experiences.
that's what I was saying. And ChatGPT has just got a bigger collection of experience, so why wouldn't you use that tool even just to get like a premise for a story? Or
I was about to say it's to me it's not cheating as long as you're using it as a tool and not a crutch.
that's what I was trying to convince TT about. We were talking a little bit about like how different directors take ideas and take characters from other stories, like you were talking about Tarantino. He took a character from what was the you were telling me about Tarantino?
He took a scene from, it was a Chinese film that was created, and he took the last scene of the film and made a whole movie based around that scene.
But yeah, like that. Tarantino saw the movie. He saw a character he liked. Wanted a bigger story about this character, so he made a bigger story about the character. That's kind of the way I think about ChatGPT. Like it can give you a whole prompt on Benjamin Franklin, as we were talking about earlier, and then you could decide to use like a little part of that to then write your own original thing. But as you were saying, I feel like it's one of those things that can definitely be used as a. It could be overused or it can be used properly.
I was about to
It,
say my mom is an author, and she like when she hits a wall and like gets really bad writer's block, she'll type in like give me the next page of this story, and then she'll like write in her last paragraph or whatever, and just see what ChatGPT comes up with, and sometimes it does help her like
she uses
get past it.
ChatGPT often.
Not like super often, cause like she doesn't get writer's block very often, but there's been a few times like in the past couple weeks where she's just like hit a fucking wall and just cannot think of anything.
That's understandable.
So she'll like prompt GPT, like she'll write in her characters and be like, like give me a story based on this scenario, and then it'll like give her different prompts and stuff,
Right.
trying to trigger something.
I was looking into it the other day because I'd never really heard about like musicians or anything using ChatGPT, but I'd seen this YouTube short the other day where this bass player put like write me a bass line, and it gave him the bass line for that Rick Astley song, "They're Never Gonna Give You Up." It just gave him like the first six notes of that, and he was like, "This sounds familiar," and he just realized that the AI bot just rickrolled him. But you could like type in and be like, "Give me a." The way that I would use it really is like when I don't know what to make or I'm just like trying to be experimental, be like, give me a key, give me a feeling that I'm trying to go for, something like that.
Or like when you're drawing at home and like you want to draw or paint or whatever, and you're like, give me a adjective and a noun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say we used to do that all the time. We have a few paintings in our house. I just asked Sam for an adjective and a noun and then paint whatever I thought was
Like purple
fitting.
bus.
Yeah, we have a purple bus. It's like a bus in the outer space. It's wild. Um, I forget what I was. Oh, with the photo AI stuff. Have you seen any of like the? I'm pretty sure I showed you.
There's like hella filters on TikTok for the picture AI shit.
Yeah. There's this app I have called Starry AI, and like you write a prompt on what you want the picture to look like, and it'll render a picture after like 40 or 50 seconds, and then it'll send you back like 3 or 4 different pictures that you can choose from based on what you wrote.
Oh yeah, I think we were messing around with that like a couple weeks ago.
It's very interesting to see what it'll come up with. I saw this story a couple days ago that this dude was using a photo AI bot for an OnlyFans. Like he would just like type into the prompt, like sexy 22-year-old da 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 da, and then upload those pictures to OnlyFans, and he was making like thousands and thousands of dollars. It was fucking ridiculous. I was like, this is what the
Bro
world
got
is
the
coming.
keys, man.
Yeah, this is what the world's coming to, man. It's gonna be fucking crazy. You aren't gonna be able to tell what's real and what's not. Shit is wild.
I remember you telling me uh off camera when about how apparently the Writers Guild of America thing kind of has to do with how how some directors are using AI to
Yeah, I saw
try and
that they
write
were
stories.
in. I forget where I saw it, but they're part of the Writers Guild of America going on strike. Have you heard about the?
Mm-hmm.
They're going on a strike. Get better pay, better benefits, and all that stuff. I saw one of the things that they were fighting about was the use of AI and ChatGPT in writers' rooms and stuff like that. It's become
I
very
hope Disney starts doing that shit because they need to come up with some original content.
You're telling the correct people, dog. Me and TT have been talking about this for 4 podcasts now. Like, we are so over the fucking live action
like
reruns of everything.
I appreciate like if they just make the classics. You know what I mean? Like the staple Disney movies like Lion King and like Aladdin and those kinds of like I can appreciate wanting to remake it in live action cuz like Lion King was pretty cool.
It just seems like
But
a money grab to me. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
you don't need to do it. Like, you're pumping millions and millions of dollars into this monopoly of a company that
Or
is just
like
producing the same thing it produced 10 years ago. It's
yeah, or how they're making a remake of Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan.
why?
They're
Like,
making a sequel.
it doesn't
Basically.
make sense. We didn't
Like I
ask
feel
for
like the
this.
last one closed off pretty well. I don't feel like there
Right,
was
like,
an opening for a sequel.
are y'all gonna fucking hit heads and switch bodies again or something? Like,
I was about to say the only movies that like need a sequel like 20 years later is if the original movie left off on a cliffhanger or something and
yeah.
like there was a reason a sequel didn't get made, like it didn't get funded enough or like the director passed away or something like that. Like Avatar, for example, they didn't have enough funding to make the second one for 10 years.
Man, hot take, fuck Avatar, honestly.
I like Avatar.
Hot take. Fuck Lord of the Rings.
You said fuck Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never
agreed.
seen Lord of the Rings, honestly, so I can't even.
It's literally them just walking through a forest for 3 hours.
For like 7 movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
And
understand
then they
how.
fight a dragon. And that's it.
I can understand how it would
Literally
be
all it is.
frustrating, but I've never even seen them. It's one of those movies that's like I'm not about to sit there for 3 hours and watch a movie.
Only way I'm sitting there for 3 hours is if it's like Doctor Strange or like a Marvel movie of some kind. Because some of the Marvel movies be long as hell.
See, I thought I was gonna sit
But
there for 3 hours for Endgame. I went to the theaters twice and fell asleep at the same exact part twice. It was like 2 hours and like 30 minutes into the movie. It was almost done, and the end of the movie comes. Everybody's clapping. I'm just my buddy Wick. I'm like, God, I don't even know how the movie. I know how the movie ends, but
I was about to say I much prefer like Marvel's individual hero movies over like the Avengers movies, and that might be a hot take, but
with Marvel, I feel
like
like
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Thor, like all of those movies are so much better than all of the Avengers movies combined. To be honest with you, I just feel like they focus more on like what the actual story is rather than like the power of friendship. You know
no,
what I'm saying?
I understand what you mean, but it's also one of those things that like in the Doctor Strange movies, they have more time to delve into like his backstory. I feel like the Marvel community, or whatever you want to call it, all the movies, like the individual movies, are kind of like funneling into the the big movie at the end. You know?
I also don't like how Marvel like got bought out by Disney and now they're making a bunch of like superhero based series instead of just making the movie.
Yeah, I don't.
Like
Disney is over the past few years. Disney has just gained a monopoly on the entertainment industry, and it's fucking annoying as shit. Not only with seeing the same movies come out over and over again, but just using the same character for 40 fucking years.
I saw a video the other day that was like uh this is what the opening of every movie gonna look like in 10 years, and it was like the Disney opening like with the castle at the beginning, and then that was rotating on top of the Universal, and then there was like the bum 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 bum.
That's
There was just
fried.
like all the film production companies, like, like the Paramount stars came out of nowhere. It was
That's
hilarious.
hilarious. Eventually, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like producers on a beat. You know,
Yeah,
the beat
yeah.
star. You're like DJ Khaled, and then you get the yo Pierre, you want to come out? And you're like, how? What? Two producers on the same tag? And I don't understand it, but it's gonna be wild as fuck. I'm just now realizing we never did the intro song.
I also don't understand why producers, just real quick on what you
Oh,
said.
you're good.
I don't understand why producers don't put their tag at the end of the song instead of like right as the bass is about to drop, or like right as the beat starts. Why
I,
not just put it on the end? That way, at the end of the song, it's like, and then like whatever your shit is, you know?
I get what that means. I get what you're saying, but you gotta put it at
Or
the
is it
beginning.
like a treble clef? It's got to be at the beginning for a certain
I think
reason.
so. I think so. But I don't know. Just more people listen to the beginning of the song, and as a producer, you don't really get that much credit in the first place. But
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense.
and as a producer,
You should just put that shit like as soon as the track starts. Just the producer tag and then whatever the artist wants after that.
I can understand that. Should I even do the song now? I feel like it's a little late. We've been
Fuck
going
it, do
for
it. Press the
we've been
button.
going for
We'll do it
20
at the
minutes.
end.
Huh?
We'll do it at the end.
We'll do it at the end.
Okay.
We already do it at the end.
We'll do it at the end again.
Okay. This is the Two Tone Podcast. Welcome. Welcome back to the Two Tone Podcast. Sorry about that. I just had to put that in there for you. But what were we talking about, y'all?
Speaking of movies, what's the movie of the week?
Oh yes, movie of the week. We'll get on into that. TT, tell us what is the film of the week. Sorry,
Oh, sorry, not movie.
TT's been anal about me calling them movies.
Film. Sorry.
The film of the week is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Now, when you said this, I was like, this is a very me movie. Why is TT watching this movie? What made you want to watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Johnny Depp.
That's a good reason.
That is a very good reason. I honestly didn't even know it was Johnny Depp in that movie until I started doing research for the podcast. But
I haven't seen that movie in a long ass time. I probably should have watched it with you.
it's a very good movie. I enjoy it very much. I enjoy Hunter S. Thompson as a human being. He's very inspirational in my life. You know much about Hunter S. Thompson, T?
Not really.
All right, so Hunter S. Thompson, he was this journalist back in I want to say 60s or 70s, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but he was a very eccentric, very weird guy. He did a lot of drugs, did a lot of sex and drugs and rock and roll and all that hoo ha. But he was first known for he was doing this piece on the Hells Angels. He was doing this piece on the Hells Angels, and he actually joined them for about a year and was just kind of like writing about what it's like to be a Hells Angel member, Put it in a couple magazines. Couple years later, he did a story on what was it? The Kentucky Derby. He did a whole bunch of drugs, went to Kentucky Derby, watched some horses run around in a circle, put a story out on that, and then eventually he started writing Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The subtitle for the book, I think, is I forget exactly how it goes, but it's like something about realizing and living the American dream. But like the whole story of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is just him and his buddy on a like this crazy fucking drug binge in Las Vegas for the weekend. What were your initial thoughts on the movie watching it?
It was pretty good. I liked how Johnny Depp did the character.
Johnny Depp is one of those actors that's really method when he does stuff, which I really much enjoy. Like in Pirates of the Caribbean, a lot of people see him like always as Jack Sparrow in public whenever they see him. He is one of those actors that can really dive into a role and really portray what the character would be like in real life.
Fun fact, when Johnny Depp was filming Edward Scissorhands, he actually did not speak for most of the time they were filming that movie.
Very interesting. I didn't know that.
Because Edward doesn't speak.
Interesting. Another actor that's really method that I really enjoy watching is Jim Carrey. Have you seen much of his
I love Jim Carrey.
discography or whatever you want to call it?
Me and
Filmography.
Andy.
What'd you say, T?
Me and Andy.
Me and Andy.
Have you seen that with
Dumb
Jim
and
Carrey?
Dumber.
I haven't seen Me and Andy. What's that one about?
It's about Andy is I don't know, remember his last name, but he was a comedian and he was very
Oh, the one about Andy Kaufman.
yeah.
Yes, yes, I do. I haven't seen the movie, but I saw a documentary about him filming it and like how he like literally took on the persona of Andy Kaufman, and like there was uh there was this one part of the documentary where like he went to, because Andy Kaufman had died like a couple years previous to them making the movie, or the biography and the movie, I guess. Um, but like he went and talked to Andy's kids, and they were like, it's literally like talking to my dad. Like it's ridiculous how much he has like become Andy Kaufman.
Interesting.
Like they got some like some relief from like all the grief and shit they were feeling, because like it felt like he was talking as
felt like
Andy
they were
Kaufman.
talking to their dad
Yeah,
again,
it didn't feel like it was Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman. It felt like it was actually him.
Jim Carrey in that film, uh the director of it hated that he was acting like Andy Kaufman for the whole thing because he just like he would take everything too far.
Yeah, I don't know how much either one of y'all know about Andy Kaufman, but he was a comedian and then went into acting in his later life, and he was known like as just a very like eccentric, weird dude. Like he would like
which is ironic because Jim Carrey is too.
Jim
Like,
Carrey is also very eccentric and weird. I felt like Jim Carrey probably took a lot from Andy Kaufman, like in his life and in his comedic career.
I was
But
about to say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, you're fine. What was you gonna say?
I was gonna say in his when he played the mask,
Mm-hmm.
um, he actually developed like a very crippling addiction to cocaine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because he felt like he couldn't be as high energy as he wanted the character just like on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's crazy as fuck.
So like when he was just like himself in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
um, most of the time during those scenes he would be sober and then he'd like go in his dressing room, do a couple lines, come back out, shoot some mask scenes.
That's crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
I feel like Jim Carrey is one of those actors that's gonna go down in history as like one of the best actors of all time. Even though he was a comedian first, I feel like he's brought so much to the cinema scene, not only in like comedies and stuff like that, but
He also said Sonic 2 is his last movie.
I saw that. It makes me so sad.
But he said unless something comes along that's like you got to do this.
Yeah.
That one's his last one.
I saw that and I was like, that's so sad. But the Sonic movies are super, super good. I love them.
Oh, speaking of method actors, I was gonna bring up Robin Williams too because um, Robin Williams is another actor that like transforms depending on what role he's playing.
R.I.P. the Great.
Yeah, for real.
R.I.P. Moment of silence for Robin Williams. Okay. Um. What were we talking about? Method actors and back to method acting and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Do you think that Johnny Depp was on drugs during this movie?
Definitely.
What do you
If he's
think,
a
T?
method actor and you're playing someone who does a lot of drugs, you're probably gonna do a lot of drugs.
He probably didn't do like I wouldn't say he did like a lot, but I feel like he did some.
I feel like it's very hard to portray what it actually feels like to be on drugs if you're not on drugs. Um,
It's
but
hard to portray what drugs feel like when you are on drugs.
yeah,
when
very
you're
true.
not.
Being on drugs, not that I do them, um, but being on drugs is one of those things that the human language doesn't have words that can uh portray exactly what it feels like to be on drugs. You know, so like whenever somebody's like, "What does it feel like to be high?" I'm like, I literally can't explain to you what it feels like. You have to experience it. It's one of those things that like
It's like trying to explain happiness or love or
yeah,
like
it's
to someone who's never experienced emotion. It's impossible.
Exactly.
to
It's
explain it.
it's very hard to accurately describe what it feels like or what you see. Like you can always go on YouTube and be like,
You can definitely describe like symptoms and shit, but like you're never gonna be able to be like, cause like if you feel like your head's in the clouds or whatever, and you say it feels like flying, like that's not gonna accurately describe it, no matter how close you get.
right.
Like,
Somebody else is gonna think of like literally flying, like,
yeah,
and you're like, it's same word but two completely different
yeah,
meanings. You know,
yeah.
it's very hard to accurately describe what it feels like. But on to the next topic of discussion that we have for today. The WWE. Okay. Me and TT, well, and Sam, honestly, we have all recently,
I was about
well,
to say we live in the same house. We watch Raw and SmackDown every week.
recently, in the past couple months, me and Sam have been getting into WWE, and I forgot how much fun it is just to watch WWE. Like, I really don't care about the storyline. I really don't care about what's happening, like, in the show. It's just so much fun just for an hour and a half to sit there and watch people fake wrestle for an hour. But TT,
Yes.
you've been a lifelong fan of the WWE and many other various wrestling organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about the WWE entices you?
Um, Character creation. I like the way that people come up with the ideas for their characters
Interesting, very interesting.
and the move sets that they put together for themselves.
Being a somebody that watched wrestling when they were younger and then kind of fell off and gotten back into it, it's interesting to see how like the adaptations that different people will take to like old wrestling moves and stuff like that. Like there's a wrestler Kevin Owens, and one of his finishers is Stone Cold Steve Austin's finisher, the Stunner, which in the beginning I thought was kind of
I was about to say, don't even lie, cause you was talking mad crap
I
about
don't like it.
how Solo Sikoa stole the Samoan spike.
He did. Like it's literally somebody else's move. That's what I
But
wanted to talk about. Like it's it's one of those things as Theo was saying, and it's like every other wrestler in the organization has an original character, has an original set of moves, and like you get to see their character progression throughout time and stuff. But like Kevin Owens came onto the scene, stole the stunner, stole the swanton bomb. Like I understand that. Like
that's why I don't like him.
it's hard to make up your own shit and make it not look corny or have it look weird. But
I like them more than the Bloodline though.
I don't care for
So
either of them, honestly. I like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens better, but
I was
the
about to say if it's like Sami Zayn and KO versus like the Usos, I'm gonna vote for Sami Zayn and KO.
fair enough. I
That's
just
why I like the divas, because I feel like the divas are so much more original than like the male wrestlers.
I can
Not
understand that.
specifically just the divas, but like the women of WWE. I feel like they're a lot more original.
I like
Like
the divas indeed, but
like Asuka, Becky
yeah,
Lynch.
you know, I like me a couple divas, boy.
What's her name? Liv Morgan.
A little
She's.
more.
I mean, her character's just a thought, but that's.
I
I
mean,
mean. She got
also
that dumpy though.
with the WWE, if y'all WWE divas are listening, and we know that you are, you know what you're doing. All right, stop. Have some respect about yourself. Put some pants on, but keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? But Kevin Owens, I don't like how they take old moves and make them their own. Like the first time I saw Kevin Owens do the stunner, I was like, how do you not get sued? But then TT was like, oh, he asked the people that previously had the finishers, and then they, approved of it or whatever. But I still think it's cheap as fuck. I don't understand why you can't just make up your own move.
Yeah, I feel you. That's why, like, I don't know. I like Rey Mysterio, right?
Rey Mysterio is one of my favorites of all time. He's one of the ones that's
Same,
still in the
same.
still in the game from back when I watched.
And one thing that pisses me off, like, the only reason I like Judgment Day is because of Rhea Ripley. That's the only reason.
Mommy.
Dominic Mysterio can absolutely get fucked. Like, absolutely. Like, watching Rey Mysterio 619 his own son multiple times in one match was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't like Dominic. I feel like he's kind of being pushed as a heel in the industry.
Yeah, I also feel like he's trying to like piggyback on his dad's career, but like in a I hate you kind of way instead of like actually trying to follow in his dad's footsteps. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna sit here and talk all this mess on your dad about how he's not shit, da 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 da, but you're following in his footsteps.
Damn near though.
Like
damn near though.
You're doing the same thing that he was doing. So
what do you think?
Why are you mad? You know?
Yeah, for real. What do you think about Dominic Mysterio?
I don't really care for him. I don't really watch him.
Oh, also when he freaking hid behind Rhea Ripley, on Raw. When he hid behind, he literally was in his own singles match, and jumped out of the ring and hid behind Rhea. So
He's
that
a fucking punk.
His opponent couldn't get to him.
Mm-hmm. I don't fucking like him at all.
Who was he fighting? He was fighting that guy from New Day. I forget his name.
Biggie.
Alexander or something like that.
Oh, Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods. Yeah.
Thoughts on Cody Rhodes?
I will root for him, but only when he's fighting Brock Lesnar or somebody else that I don't like.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like, I'm not against him, but I'm not for him.
I never really liked Cody Rhodes when he was in the WWE back when I watched, like in the late 2000s. And
isn't he related to Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, it's his son.
Yeah, see, nepotism. Dusty. I'm not with the nepotism shit. I don't like that.
I mean, I get it,
but he's not following in Dusty's steps.
He's definitely not. He's definitely taking a very different approach to the WWE than Dusty did. And also, with the WWE and stuff like that, there's not a way that, like, if Cody Rhodes was like some little kid that's playing Xbox all day, there's not a way for him to get into the WWE without like actually doing all the hard work and stuff. Sure, like his dad was like, he's good, but you know, he still had to do all the training and all the camps and stuff like that. But I understand what you mean about nepotism and all that shit.
It's more just like, I'm trying to like put into my thoughts into words. It's more like when every time they get screen time, their dad or their mom or whoever gets mentioned, that bothers me.
I can understand.
Like if they're their own person, you know, like their name might be famous because of who their dad or mom is, but like they have their own career.
There's a lot of nepotism in WWE.
It makes sense, honestly. It's like the McMahons. You got Vince that bought the company, and then his son started becoming a wrestler, and his daughter became a wrestler.
Flairs, the Usos, Roman.
There is quite a decent bit of nepotism in there. I never really stopped to think about it, honestly. That is wild.
I feel like that's why it's such a hard industry to break into, especially if you want to specifically be a wrestler and not just like a general fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the UFC would damn near be easier to get into than the WWE.
I cannot stand UFC fighters that go to WWE.
Yeah.
Like Ronald Rousey.
Yeah, bro. She looked like a man. She looked like a whole dude on the promotion last night. I was like, is that Ronald Rousey? But yeah, like Brock Lesnar. Did he start out in the WWE or did he start out in UFC?
I think he started out in WWE.
I think so, maybe.
I'm about to say, I want to say he started in WWE because I'm pretty sure I saw him like in the late 2000s as a wrestler and then saw him transfer into the UFC, but I'm not sure, honestly. But either way, fuck Brock Lesnar, dude. I don't like him as a wrestler. I don't like him as a UFC competitor.
Oh.
I don't think he's that good as a fighter, honestly.
The next big thing, that's what he was called, 2002 to 2003. Lesnar debuted on WWF.
Oh.
So before WWE was even WWE.
Back in the Disney. Yeah. The more you know. I didn't know that. He was
on an episode of Raw as a heel, attacking Al Snow, Maven, and Spike Dudley.
Interesting.
In a hardcore championship match.
The more you know.
Also being accompanied by Paul Heyman. Fuck Paul Heyman, bro.
Oh God, that bro is never gonna die. But with with the wrestlers that go into the UFC and vice versa. There's been quite a few, honestly. There's been Brock Lesnar, CM Punk. He went from the WWE into the UFC. He got starched like 3 fights into the UFC and had to
I was about to
resign.
say, I feel like there's a major like UFC to WWE kind of feels like a cop out, while WWE to UFC, like you're going from play fighting to real fighting. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you're
I
actually
totally
gonna get
understand that.
knocked in your shit in the UFC.
Yeah. CM
Like,
Punk CM Punk did not understand that. Like he went to the UFC and he could fight a little bit, but like he got his shit rocked like 4 fights in a row and it was
Mhm.
not good.
I'm pretty sure Bobby Lashley went to the UFC at one point.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley,
Mhm.
he was in the UFC and the WWE. The one that fucking cracks me up the most is Matt Riddle.
Oh yeah.
oh fuck, that
Bro,
middle, ugh.
fucking Matt Riddle, he was in the UFC first and got popped for smoking weed just like number of times in the UFC. And then he goes to the WWE and is like this stoner character.
I just don't like how he talks. Like he like
Yeah, he's got like, what's up? What's going on,
no,
bro?
like the way he physically moves his mouth when he talks, like he doesn't open his mouth enough and he sticks his tongue in between his teeth too much.
That's hilarious.
Like I'm okay, I'm like relatively hard of hearing, so I read people's lips a lot. And if you have like a lisp or like move your mouth in a weird way, it makes it really hard to be able to tell what you're saying if I can't hear you.
That makes sense.
And I hate when people talk weird like that. Like
You mind tilting the mic just a little bit up?
not to be like ableist against people with lisps or anything, just like
No, I understand what you mean. I had never even paid attention to the way he talks. What's your opinion on Matt Riddle?
almost like Cody Rhodes, where he's like,
Yeah, Cody
like,
Rhodes.
he
He's
like
got a little bit of a
tongue
lisp.
fucks his lips while he's
Yeah.
talking.
What's your opinion on Matt Riddle, TT?
Matt Riddle.
We'll fight right now if you like him. I swear to God.
He's more of a mid carder than he should be a main event star.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It seems like the WWE is trying to push him into becoming like one of the next big superstars when he
Also,
really
sorry, real quick. He's one of the reasons that people stereotype people who smoke weed the way they do.
Oh yeah, he's definitely playing on the trope of a stoner character.
Speaking of Matt Riddle, his old tag team partner, good old Randy Orton.
He was tag team with Randy Orton?
I don't like Randy Orton either.
They're
I
called
love
Arcade
Randy
Bro.
Orton. RK Bro. I'm deceased. That's
Um,
almost worse than the rated RKO.
Did you hear about what the doctors told Randy?
Oh yeah, me and Kyle was talking about it the other day at work.
Yeah.
The doctors are trying to convince Randy Orton to stop competing in the WWE because like he's just been in there for so long, his
He's old
body's
as hell.
fucked. Yeah, he's old as shit.
Means his dust. Or like Edge. Edge is like fucking what, 60 something, 50, 60
Yeah,
something
Edge
now?
looks a little
And he was
worn.
in like that 4-way match or whatever with like Nakamura and
Oh yeah, for the new heavyweight championship or whatever it is they
I don't
got.
remember what it was for. I think it was like that
Wasn't it the bracket for the
yeah, I think it was
championship?
the bracket thing.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
a 3-way and then a 2-way and then
Mhm.
yeah.
And that was crazy. He was against Finn from Judgment Day and Shinsuke Nakamura. I think. Yeah.
I want to say Cody Rhodes was in that fight. It was
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
because
Edge,
that's
Rey
when-
Mysterio, and somebody else. Who-
AJ Styles.
Oh yeah, it was AJ Styles.
AJ Styles.
Because AJ Styles won.
Yeah, it was AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio,
Because
And-
didn't
Edge.
AJ go up against Seth freaking Rollins?
No, that's
They were
Or
fighting
no.
at Night of Champions. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was
But that's who it's gonna be, right?
It was Bobby
Styles
Lashley
versus-
versus AJ.
Bobby Lashley versus AJ. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
Bobby Lashley, Cody Rhodes, and Finn
Yeah,
from
and then
Judgment
that's
Day.
when Lesnar came out and beat the ever living shit out of Rhodes
Yeah,
for putting
and then
stitches in his
Finn-
face at Backlash.
And then Finn pinned Bobby Lashley.
It's just like, how are you gonna listen? How are you gonna agree to? Cause wasn't it a fight with no rules?
I don't think so. I think it was just a regular match.
Well, anyways, how are you gonna challenge somebody to a fight and then get mad when you lose? Not only did you lose, but you got injured. But like, you literally signed up for that fight.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
I also feel like Cody's pen was cheap though.
It was a cheap pin, but
He
I mean,
rolled
like,
him.
a win's a win's a win, you know?
I agree. I was just saying I feel like it was a little cheap. But he even on was it Raw or SmackDown? I don't remember which one
I
he's
think it was
on now.
Raw.
But he even admitted like if it's cheap then it's cheap. I still won. So
Yeah, I must say,
like
Brock is more upset at the way that Cody won, not the fact that he won. I feel like he'd be upset if
I
Cody
feel
won
like
in
he
a
was
regular
more
way either.
upset at the fact that he got his face slammed into a buckle with no cushion on it.
Yeah, he got his shit fucking rocked in that fight.
Yeah, I feel like he was more upset that he had to get stitches and got beat up
Yeah,
rather than losing.
yeah, Brock Lesnar does not like to lose. If
He's like, look at this face.
look at this face, I want to fight.
He reminds me of like Planet of the Apes when the angry apes got out and they were just like, I want to fight.
Brock Lesnar is 98% Neanderthal. I think
I agree.
that man is just too massive to be a human being. It's a ridiculous amount of human that Brock
Which is
Lesnar
crazy how big
holds.
he is because he's only like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, he's not really all that tall.
He's just massive.
He is
Like
massive
what's
as
his
fuck.
name? Braun Strowman. Like back in the
Yeah,
day, because Braun Strowman's lost a lot of weight now, but back in the day, that man was like 350 pounds, like 6'4".
Braun Strowman is a massive ass individual.
I liked watching his tag teams with Alexa Bliss because she's so small and he's so
Yeah.
big. Like he would literally like throw her against opponents.
Hmm.
Like, anyways,
I forget what I was gonna say.
sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm not upset about it or nothing. Um. Oh, speaking of the nostalgia of the WWE, that brings me to my album of the week. So for this week's album of the week, I chose "The Talking Book" by Stevie Wonder. Now, me and TT have a very deep, long-going relationship with Stevie Wonder, not personally or nothing. I know y'all wish it was, but um, back in the day, like on Saturdays and Sundays, when my mom wake up in the early morning, start cleaning the house, put on some music, we'd wake up, a little bit of Stevie Wonder playing. But the reason I chose this album, not only because it has Superstition on it, but it's got it feels like one of those albums that it doesn't have a bad song on it. It's I want to say it's from like the early 70s, and I was reading a little bit about Stevie Wonder, and I didn't even realize that Stevie Wonder had like a really big part in bringing music albums, like as we know them today, into popularity. A lot of the music that was pre 60s, pre 70s, and all that stuff would be put on like vinyls and stuff, but most of the vinyl pressers were uh, reserved for like classical music and stuff like that. So most artists would have to put out singles on vinyl or on the smaller ones. I think they're 45s or 33 and a half or something.
Like the
But
little 6 inchers. Like
yeah,
the
but like a
little ones,
vinyl
yeah.
is like a foot across, and then they have the smaller ones. They'd have to put like a couple singles on a smaller vinyl instead of just pressing the whole album onto a big vinyl.
Fun fact, that's actually because the way that the grooves are made in vinyls, it's significantly easier to etch individual notes like you would in like classical music or like
Mm-hmm.
something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Versus a voice or like a synth or something like
Yeah.
that.
Talking about synth, Stevie Wonder is also like one of the very first people to bring like heavy synthesizer type music into the 70s and 80s, and not
Bless
on
him.
do what
Bless him.
on God.
Good decision, sir.
There's so much music that came out in the later decades that was inspired by Stevie Wonder. Not only like the music itself, but the sounds that he uses. He uses a lot of clav. It's like it's like a piano, but it's more twangy. And
Like if you made a piano sound into a guitar.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
I wonder if you could do that, like if you elongated the strings, like just incrementally elongated the strings inside of a piano, if you can make it sound more like twangy.
I'm not sure,
Like if you
honestly.
made the piano bed bigger, you know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying, and made it more like a sound box, like a hollow sound box, like the inside of a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Like the notes would bounce off the inside of the piano.
Right.
I wonder if that would make
Just
a
make the
difference.
shelf a little deeper than it
Yeah,
normally is.
yeah.
That'd be interesting to find out. I don't know.
If I ever come across a piano maker, I'll
Yeah.
ask him.
I'll let him
Also,
know.
Stevie Wonder had 9 kids. Man was getting it in.
Mans was getting it on. Let's
Let's
get
get
it
it
on.
on.
Thank you. Ah! You know what I'm saying? But yeah, sorry for all y'all listening to headphones.
Don't forget, I still have my book. Also, I don't know what our time's looking like.
Oh,
Right
you're
now,
fine. We're at 50.
but... Oh, okay, gotcha.
What was I gonna say? Oh, Stevie Wonder. Um, I knew that he was like a he was born blind, obviously, for all y'all that don't know. But
There were also a lot of people who thought he was faking it for
yeah,
a
a lot of
long
people
time.
still think he's faking it. I don't
Mhm.
understand, but like, what would you gain from?
It's because he could play so well.
Yeah,
Like
it's
people refuse to believe that you can play instruments and be good at shit if you're disabled.
yeah. There was
Like-
there was this interview I was watching with him before we started the pod, and he was on like some talk show back in the day, and he was playing the harmonica at first, and the dude comes up to him after he's playing the harmonica, and he was like, "So you've been blind since birth, obviously, as we all know, and what is it like to not be able to see not only in general, but like see people's emotions and see like
That's a stupid question to ask somebody who's never seen anything. What's it like to
no,
not see?
not like not
No,
physically
I
like
get what you're
it's
saying.
dark,
I
that's
get
what
what you're
it'd be like.
saying,
But like what does it feel like to have to rely on your other senses so much and in it in a business that's entertainment based, like cuz he was a performer, he was a musician. It was pretty much just being like, how do you know who's got your best interests in mind and stuff? And he was pretty much just like, well, being blind is kind of like a blessing in a way because I can't see what you look like, and so that way I have to treat everybody fairly. Like just because I can't see what you see that you look like a businessman, I don't know that you do business because you're just talking to me.
Right.
But it was very interesting to see even that far back because the interview was like in '63 or something like that. I want to say it was just so interesting to see his stances on just like equality and stuff like that, not only through like the blind community, but just in reality as a whole. Just it was very interesting to see how young he was and uh, how keyed in he was on the issue that like race and not being judgmental to everybody was back at that time. Fighting for civil rights and all that stuff. It's a 19-year-old black man on national TV. It was very interesting to see what he had to say. But speaking on him on his younger years.
Oh, really quick. Really
Okay.
quick. Speaking of blind people,
Mm-hmm.
I remember in high school we had there was this Asian girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was like small. She was like a child. And she was in my piano class, and I don't know if she had like skipped grades or what, because like I never saw her except in piano class.
Mm-hmm.
But she was blind, and we had a special piano for her that had like braille, so that she could like feel what notes she was hitting or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, and she was so talented.
It is
Like
very
she could
interesting.
literally like she would tune the piano just like by ear.
Goddamn. It is crazy how much one of your other senses like uh are more perceptible to you when you don't have the other ones.
That's why I was like, that's when you were talking about the interview with Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just like a weird question to ask someone who was born that way because they have nothing to compare it to. Like,
Right.
what's it like not being able to, like, what's it like having your other senses be heightened and whatnot? Like, they have nothing to compare it to, so they can't answer that
Right.
question,
I must say, I phrased it in the wrong way. He wasn't like asking what it's physically like to be a blind person. He was
Gotcha,
kind of more
gotcha.
like, how do you navigate the world as a blind person? Because obviously the dude that runs the show isn't blind.
Yeah, I figured that out after I stopped interrupting you. I was
Oh, you're
just,
fine.
I
You're
just
fine.
wanted to say that.
But Stevie Wonder in his younger years, like he became a child prodigy at the piano, just like learning how the piano is set up. Because those of y'all that don't know, it's white and black keys, and then there's three sets of black keys and two white, and then two black, two white, and three black, and it repeats that. But a lot of Stevie Wonder's music is written in all black keys, which is very interesting to me. I didn't realize that until I tried to learn a couple of his songs a few years ago. But a lot of his music is written in the raised black keys because, like, he can tell whether this is the set of three or the set of two, and then
It's easier to feel.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about the braille piano, I don't think they had that back in the day for blind people.
I was
But
about to say she had that shit like custom made.
oh yeah, I
Like
wouldn't doubt
her
it.
parents brought that piano into the school for her so that she
Damn.
could take piano class. Yeah.
Got that money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's crazy the child prodigies. That's something that's always like baffled my mind. How
I
like
feel like you have to be rich to raise a child prodigy because like you know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine having a child like Sheldon Cooper. Like I don't know if you've
that,
ever watched Young Sheldon, but
that's
like
what
I
I was
couldn't imagine having an 8-year-old going to college
right. That's what
or
I was gonna
11
say.
or
Like
however old he is.
prodigies aren't only in like music or movies or something like that, but also like a lot of, as you were saying, like math and science and the STEM kind of stuff is where you find a lot of the child prodigies nowadays, which is very interesting to say the least.
I was about to say, I know like Sheldon Cooper is like a fictional character or whatever, but like his storyline's so interesting. Did you know that like I think he graduated college at like 11 or something like
Oh
that?
yeah, there's
Like,
there's been I've seen plenty of documentaries on like ABC or NBC or whatever
mhm.
that's like this child is in the eighth grade at 4, and I'm like, how the fuck? What? I was playing in the sandbox at 4, dog. I
I
don't
was so
understand.
proud of myself for reading at a college level in 6th grade. Now I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, for real. You see somebody got 7 degrees at 14, and you're like, how? What do you do with your time, dog? There's no way you're at school for 92 hours a week. It is crazy. The last topic that I had on the docket for discussion kind of swings back into TT's movie of the week, and I wanted to talk about movies that are based on books or like journals or whatever. So
That's perfect because
the
the book that I picked out is from a series that's based on movies or books that were turned into movies.
gotcha. The movie that you picked, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, was based on a like a short
Film.
book
So sorry. Film.
film. Sorry, it was based on a short book called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
The but the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is based on Hunter S. Thompson, as we said earlier, but it was later developed into a movie, and like the dude that's narrating over the whole movie is pretty much like the script from the book, which I found very interesting. I didn't really notice until I had went back and watched the rest of Clockwork Orange, but it is also based on a movie or a book.
Interesting.
There's a
I
book.
didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. There's a book in 1960 something written by some other dude called Clockwork Orange, and it's pretty much the story of the movie. Um, I didn't know that either one of those were based on a book or a
Yeah, you had it
a
based on a book.
script or whatever, or a story article. That's the word I
There
was
you
looking
go.
for. Do you know many other books that were turned into movies that you really like? Either one of y'all, honestly.
What a perfect segue because the book that I picked, the book of the month, is actually the first book from the Chronicles of Narnia series. Because I'm pissed that they made like 4 out of 5 of those books into movies, or like 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they skipped the first one, and the first one's low key the best book.
That's what I was gonna say. They didn't even make the first book into a movie. It's the second book that's the first movie, isn't it?
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first movie, and there's actually 2 books before that movie.
Interesting.
There's so the first one is about I might be wrong. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe might be the second movie. But the first book actually explains how the wardrobe gets there, and I feel like it left so many plot holes in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, like the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it left so many plot holes because it's like, how does this wardrobe work? Where did this wardrobe come from?
Yeah, that's one of the things that kind of threw me off in the Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe. Is like, okay, we have this here, but like, you're not gonna tell me anything about the family that they're moving into that has this wardrobe.
Yeah, like,
Like,
have you read the books?
no, I haven't.
So the first book,
Spoiler alert.
yeah. There is these neighbor kids, like they live in the same neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and they live in England. And I don't know if you know how like old timey houses were set up in England, but
Not really.
it's like rows.
Okay.
And a lot of the times the attics would be either connected or like they'd share walls.
Right.
Um, and like these kids are exploring, like quote unquote, going on an adventure, and they wanted to go to this abandoned house, and they accidentally stumble into the little boy's house, into
Mhm.
his attic where he's not allowed because his uncle does like whatever his uncle does up there, and he has these rings where like one will shoot you into another dimension, one will bring you home. And so he locks the kids in the room, hands the girl the ring, right? And she fucking disappears, like blips out of existence. So the little boy's only option is to take the rings that bring them back and go after her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, they go into this other dimension, and it's this enchanted forest with like pools of water everywhere. And when so basically the rings that bring you home take you back to this enchanted forest, and the pools, they jump into them with like the rings are green and gold.
Okay.
Green is in, gold is out.
Okay.
Right? So if they take a green ring and jump into a pool, they'll go into a different world. And that's basically how they found Narnia the first time.
Interesting.
And these are supposed to be like, I believe the little boy is the professor that the four kids move in with in the first movie or the first film.
Interesting.
And they never cover any of that context as to like why he's so like he doesn't want them to mess with the wardrobe, and then once he realizes that they've already been in it, like in the film, he like at the end of the film, he's like, you'll never be able to go back in that way, but who knows, maybe something will happen. And it like hints at the fact that he's been to Narnia before, but it never gives you that context because they
Right.
never. Anyways, there was a tree in Narnia
Mm-hmm.
that made these apples that would give you everlasting life.
Mm-hmm.
And Aslan gave the boy a mission to go get one of the apples and bring it back, but don't eat it. And he did, and so Aslan gave him another apple to take home to his mother because his mother was sick. And he planted the apple core in his backyard and made a tree. And when he moved out of that house, he didn't want to leave the tree because it's like a connection to Narnia, right? And so he
Right.
made a wardrobe out of it, and that's how the wardrobe came to be.
Very, very interesting.
Made out of a Narnian tree.
I might have to go back and read these books.
They're
It
so
seems
good.
it seems
They're
very
so
good.
good.
It
The
seems
books
very,
are
very
so
good.
much better than the films. It also, like, I'm always one that prefers books because it lets you into the characters' minds much
Yeah.
more than a film ever
You get
could.
to see like what they're thinking and what they're seeing, you know?
Or, like, how they're feeling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, like,
It's a lot more of the story just
Yeah.
than what happens.
I tend to connect with characters a lot more when you can, like, hear their inner monologue and, like,
Mm-hmm.
know their inner thoughts and, like, well, what if this? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I totally get that.
It gives me an idea.
Mm.
Making a movie based on the book that's actually the book.
I think you might have
That's what
some.
It's just gonna take 7 years and 42 days for you to watch the film.
I
But
was about to say, that's what HBO is trying to do with Harry Potter. They're making a series where, like, each book is going to be a season.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't really know how I think about it. I've not even seen
It's
like
either
the.
going to be a big hit and it's going to be better than the films, or it's going to suck and everyone's going to hate it.
Yeah, that's my fear on it is that it's gonna fucking flop and then everybody's gonna be like, it fucking ruined the Harry Potter franchise because they're not even using like the same actors from the story.
Well, actually, there's some actors and actresses from the films that are just going to be in different roles. Like, what's his name? His name's Tom, but I don't remember his last name. The kid that played Malfoy. He's coming back to play Malfoy's dad in the series.
Okay.
speaking of books turned into films and Harry Potter, they're really bad at making the Harry Potter characters look like the Harry Potter characters from the book.
Yeah.
Like,
The series is going to be a lot more accurate.
like Harry Potter's aunt and uncle, they both have like blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the movie they don't.
It would that be probably your favorite book turned movie? Is the Harry Potter series?
Probably.
That's what I was thinking, honestly. Speaking of Harry Potter, how was the game? I don't remember if we had talked about
I
it
finished that
last
bitch.
podcast.
Oh, I will say though,
We did. It was labeled Hogwarts Legacy is here.
the Narnia films are pretty book accurate. I will say that. Just
That's
real
good.
Quick.
I always hate watching a movie that's based on a book I've read, and then I'm like, this is
I think
it's
that's
not
why
even
they're
close
so
to what
long.
happened.
I really
But
think
you're-
that's why they're so long. They're like 3.5 hours long. But
The
it's
Narnia
like,
movies are they really?
like 2.5 to 3.5. Yeah, it depends on which one you're watching.
Dang, I don't think I remember
But
it.
like you can literally follow along in the book. Like it's not exactly the same dialogue or like exactly the same setting,
Right.
but you can damn near follow along in the book to the
Gotcha.
film. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right. So
Voyage
what-
of the Dawn Treader is the best one. Just saying.
okay, I don't think I've seen that one honestly, but I'll have to check it out. Anyways, we got places to be, hoes to see. I want to say thank y'all for watching the Two Tone Podcast. I appreciate y'all. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button, leave a comment, leave a like. We appreciate it. Just wanted to say thank you one more time. This has
Thank you
been.
for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for being
Yeah,
here.
Sorry, I talked way too much. I feel like.
Oh no, it's fine. TT don't talk at all, so it was a nice balance to have somebody that
Gave
actually
you
respond.
a break from having to talk for 2 hours.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Anyways, love y'all, appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been the Two Tone Podcast.